Angela Rayner's resignation about 10 minutes ago at midday is significant for many reasons. I think, first of all, it was inevitable and in many ways merciful. She chose to go before Keir Starmer had to act, sparing the Prime Minister the indignity of firing his deputy and allowing her to exit with a measure of control. That matters. In politics, resignation on your own terms is always preferable to being dragged out. For Labour, this will be met with a sigh of relief. The ethics report into her stamp duty miscalculation could have lingered like slow poison. Instead, the wound is cauterised quickly, and the narrative will now be about her decision to put the party first rather than a leader weakened by her dithering. It also allows you to make an interesting comparison between Angela Rayner and Jeremy Hunt, and indeed between Priti Patel and Boris Johnson, or Priti Patel anyway with Boris Johnson. Priti Patel, the ethics fellow, found against her, but Boris Johnson insisted on keeping her. The timing is particularly astute. At this very hour, Nigel Farage is attempting to seize the spotlight in Birmingham with Reform UK's conference, but Rayner's resignation eclipses him entirely. At lunchtime and again on the evening bulletins, the lead story will not be Farage's triumphalist claims, but the fall of Labour's deputy leader. He will find his carefully staged rhetoric buried beneath more dramatic story of a senior minister's downfall. Yet it would be wrong to treat this purely as theatre. Rayner's story has a real human weight. She came from a Stockport council estate, left school at 16 with a baby, worked as a care worker, rose by grit and force of character to become Deputy Prime Minister. Her very presence in government embodied the possibility of social mobility against entrenched privilege, and that is why some in her Aston underlying constituency lament her departure as a loss of authenticity in a political class too often defined by Oxbridge sameness. More than that, she showed in the Commons, in the House of Commons itself, that she was more than a match, in fact, head and shoulders above the majority of the performers in the way that she stood at the dispatch box and delivered her stuff. She was sparky, spunky and superior in her performance, and performance matters in the House of Commons. I know I go on about this a lot and people say, oh, it's the message which matters. No, it isn't really. It isn't. The message has been drafted long before the minister stands up, and Rayner was always able to deliver that message with panache. But politics is unforgiving. The ministerial code demands not just honesty but precision. Carelessness in tax affairs, however complex, is not excusable at this level. Sir Laurie Magnus, who brought down Nadhim Zahawi for similar failings, could hardly exonerate her. She must have known the game was up. And her exit now leaves Starmer with two headaches. First, the inevitable deputy leadership election, which could become a rallying point for Labour's left. Rayner herself was often used to mollify the party's restless grassroots, and without her, a successor may seek to weaponise discontent against Starmer rather than contain it. And second, it risks denting Labour's claim to have turned the page on integrity. For years of berating the Conservatives for sleaze, Labour is now learning how quickly the moral high ground can crumble. Still, this is resilience, and Starmer has resilience, and he now has an opportunity to demonstrate this. By moving fast, he can avoid days of speculation and shows he will uphold the standards he promised. And the coming party conference will allow a new deputy leader to shine. And in Rayner's case, the ending is not necessarily the end. She has charisma, a genuine connection to voters, and the rare gift of being memorable. Westminster has not heard the last of her. For now, though, the headlines belong to Angela Rayner herself and to Labour's attempt to steady itself in the storm. And I'm sure Starmer must be thanking the heavens for her decision. Reform's conference may thunder on, but today it has been entirely upstaged by somebody who is significantly more worth. I'm not a Labour voter, by the way, just in case you think I am, but Angela Rayner is significantly more worthy than Nadine Dorries and all the twits peopling the stage in Birmingham. Angela Rayner is worth 10 of them, 20 of them. And it's, as I say, it's not about her politics, it's not about her message, it's about her performance and her character. And yes, she has taken a tumble and her judgment is not sound, but then, you know, when it comes to performance, the judgment is not quite, and the duplicity is not quite the thing we judge. Otherwise, Boris Johnson wouldn't have remained in power for as long as he did. But thank you very much.